Well, I have a new idea for a Fallout game called Fallout Project Lazarus. It takes place first. It starts off as you choose uh, what gender you want to be, what you look like, all that. Um, but it starts out just before the U.S. enters World War II. You're part of a military project called Project Lazarus, where it's meant to make you almost invincible. Basically, your character will never age, won't die. Okay? Well, you could die, but you won't die of old age or anything, or disease or anything like that. You can get shot, but your character automatically heals a lot faster than a lot of other characters would. So you don't really need medicine right off the bat. And then there's also other advantages. You'll have increased strength and stuff like that. Some bonuses that you will get, new powers as you go along the game. You start off in the laboratory as in the experiment starts, and then that's the basis of teaching you how to play the game. Target practicing when the U.S. enters the war. Okay, then part of the game it switches from that to the next chapter would be you fighting in Europe, against the Nazis. But the whole basis of the game is that each stage is actually a decade. There'll be like about 3 stages for just the 1940s. Just about. And actually, if you really think about it, it started in the 1930s, the project, and then you have is the early 40s, which would be World War II, and then the rest of the 40s would be the next stage. Then it goes 50s, 60s, on the way up. And as you're going along, you end up running into certain areas that you end up seeing the area not as it is, but as it will be, or maybe be, maybe, in the far, far future. So as time goes on, you're trying to do is figure out what is going on, and sometimes you'll end up in the future, then you travel back to wherever you are. And as you're going along, you may run into people that you may not know, but they tell you that they're helping you or whatever. Sometimes they fuck you over. Some people are actually from the future that travel backwards. So, as you're in the future, you can do whatever. Just make sure that you do have as a time limit in certain areas. So, as it gets closer and closer towards doomsday, as it were, you have a choice to try to stop doomsday, which no matter what you would fail. Just a spoiler on that. You can choose to join with the facility or whatever, one of the hives, I guess, or you can create your own hive. It's best if you're going to do that like in the 1940s, late 40s, and then continue building onto that. And before you go to the next stage, they always ask you if you want to continue to the next stage. The next stage means the next decade, which anything that you have to do in that decade that you're in, you may not be able to do it in the next decade. So it's best to get as much done as possible in one decade that you're in, one stage you're in. Because the maps do change. So does clothing style and all that. And vehicles. Well, that's pretty much it. But that's just only the beginning of the game. The rest of it actually takes place in your hive, or if you didn't choose the hive, you're in the wastelands. Trying to make life better or whatever, or worse. And the rest of the game is just like all the other Fallout games, wandering this desolate post-apocalyptic world and making a name for yourself. But you have these other quests. As you go through the game, you find out more about your character's past. You can change. Every time you play it, your character's past changes. You can change what type of things you want. You can actually believe whatever you want. And you can say that none of it's true or all of it's true. So as you are starting the game and playing it, your character literally does not remember anything of its past. Just that moment when you start playing, you know. So you are at a loss as much as that character.